Hi, I am Josh Hanosh, co-founder and vice president of 329. You may have seen our last few webinars and you would notice that I'm with a different company now. We actually merged Dedicated Designs with 329. And today's webinar is about ADA compliance. And that's something that we've been working on with 329 for a few months now. And it's something that's been on both of our radars for many years. And we merged together for a lot of different reasons, but primarily our services are very complementary to one another. 329 is an amazing web development agency, and we've got a strong marketing background in terms of helping B2B, in terms of like marketing support and strategy. And we thought we were stronger together. And one of those strengths, like I mentioned, is ADA compliance. If you don't know what ADA compliance is for a website, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown on what that is. And then we're going to talk about how you can save $5,000 a year. You actually get $5,000 a year from the government in terms of a tax credit. So back in 2017, there were a lot of big companies, Netflix, H&R Block, Domino's, a couple other companies that got sued because their websites were not ADA compliant. If you watched the last episode, my business partner, Kevin Howe, and I talked about ADA compliance, what it is, kind of the story. You can check that out on your own time. But in short, there are now guidelines and laws around ADA compliance. The WCAG guidelines basically say that your website needs to be able to be used by someone that has disabilities. And those can range from visual to cognitive and physical as well. And a lot of people use screen readers to help them navigate websites. And these individuals, especially people who are visually impaired, rely on these screen readers to read a website so that they can use the internet. And our job is to make sure that, one, our clients basically have a website that anyone can use, but secondly, are protected against ADA predators. There are ADA predators out there who are attorneys that will go on a website and sue them for ADA non-compliance just to make a quick buck, not because they actually care about using the site. And one thing that we found in our research when helping our clients is that you can actually get a tax credit every year back from the government. And we've had a couple clients that were sued. We didn't build their websites. They moved them over to us to host, and then they got sued. And we helped them figure that out and get out of that mess. And it's an expensive journey to take to get sued, because not only do you have to pay for the website to be, in some cases, totally rebuilt, but you also have to settle. And one of our clients settled for $20,000 or $30,000 on top of what they paid us to make their site compliant. ADA compliance is not expensive if you do it right from the beginning. You basically build a website with SEO in mind so that it ranks well on search. And good SEO is also good ADA, and vice versa. Good ADA is also good SEO. So if your website is already built and you're unsure if it's ADA compliant, there's lots of tools that you can use. You can go to 329's website and use a tool that's on there for free to see if your website is ADA compliant. You can just Google ADA compliance scanner and see how compliant your website is. That initial report will tell you and anyone else, if you brought it to us, it would tell us how much work it would take to get your website compliant. That being said, there are a few programs, and I'm going to talk about one of them today, that gives companies back up to $5,000 a year in a tax credit for spending money on ADA services for their website. And I'm going to go through the tax form. I'm going to show you what form to use, and I'm going to talk about how to use the credit. This credit applies to businesses that have less than 30 employees or do less than $1 million in revenue. So if your company has 31 employees and does $700,000 in revenue, you qualify because you're less than $1 million. You're over 31, you're over 30, but you're less than $1 million. If your company has sales of 1.5 million, but you have 20 employees, you qualify because while your revenue doesn't make it, your employee count does. So again, your revenue has to be less than $1 million, or you have to have less than 30 people. Okay, so here's how this works. And it basically boils down to invoicing. So if you have an agency that you work with or a web developer, and you're asking them for edits, chances are those edits are going to need to be made ADA compliant. So basically you can think of any edit on your website can be lumped under ADA compliance, because if you're changing out a picture or you're adding a page or you're adding a video or anything to a website, it needs to be ADA compliant. So we work with our clients to make sure that they have the proper records in order to get this tax credit. So if we are working on a new web build and a client wants to use this credit, we will actually line item out like how much time was spent on ADA and give that to them for their records, so that when they file the tax form, and I'll tell you what the tax form is in just a second, when they file the tax form, they have records in case they get audited that show they spent the money that they said that they spent on ADA compliance. What's really cool about this credit is that you can get it every single year. Every single year, you can get $5,000 back every single year that you apply for this tax credit. So here's a little bit more information on how it works. So basically, you just need to be able to prove to the IRS that you are making steps towards being ADA compliant. And the IRS caps it out at $10,000. So here's how the tax credit works. The IRS will give you back 50% of the cost that you spent to make your website ADA compliant, up to, it's actually $10,250. Once it goes past that, you don't get half back. So what's cool about this is, especially on a new website, I mean, the whole web project qualifies under ADA compliance because an entire website needs to be built to be ADA compliant. So if your website is $10,000, you're going to get back $5,000 as a tax credit. If your website was $20,000, you're going to get back $5,000 as a credit. If your website was $3,000, you're going to get $1,500 back. It's up to $10,000. So they give you half back as a credit every single year. So some of you guys are probably thinking, well, we don't build a website every single year. Well, you do other things on your website, whether that is posting a blog. Every time a blog gets posted, it has to be ADA compliant. Every time, like I said earlier, every time you make an edit to your website, it has to be ADA compliant. So if you have a good relationship with your agency, you should be able to talk to them and ask them to line item out the time for ADA compliance. And a lot of times it's the same amount of time. You know, if it takes 5 hours to build a page, I mean, the whole entire time someone's building that page, they're keeping ADA compliance in mind. So that whole time is available towards the tax credit. So that's how it works. You need to have less than $1 million in revenue or less than 30 employees. And you just need to have records in case you get audited that you did specific things or services for ADA compliance. You can do this every single year, and it's awesome. It's free $5,000 for something that you should be doing anyways to protect yourself, to protect your business, and to make your website accessible to more people. So I'm going to show you the tax form. It's form 8826. And it looks like this. So this is the worksheet that you can give your CPA. You hand them the invoices, they fill out the worksheet. You can see the maximum amount is 10,000, minimum amount is 250. So that's where the 10,250 comes from. And then here's where the 50% comes in. And that's it. That's all you need to do. So again, just Google IRS form 8826, and that form will pop up. Every single year you can get this tax credit. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I'm going to put up my LinkedIn profile. You can scan that QR code. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can send me an email at jhanosh. So it's JHANOSH at 329.com. And I can help you in any way that I can to help you get that tax credit. Next time, we're going to talk about websites and the main things that you need to be focusing on when either building a brand new website or if you are making modifications to an old website. I'm going to be talking with an expert in the field on websites and what you need to be making sure is top of your list when designing a website to make sure that it works for your company. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate